openings, and he gave me this little watercolor set. And I said, thanks, Bradley. He goes, I can get all my stuff in my sports car for a show, and it takes you guys 5 trucks and 4 guys, you know?
Well, yeah, I feel that way too. I mean, I love sculpture, but all the sculptures I've done, I do these wall relief pieces, they are so damn heavy. And when I was younger, I could lift them, and now I'm afraid to because they might fall over on me in my studio, and I'm there by myself, and who's going to find me? So you all work together, and you have to.
Well,
it's a collaborative.
I told my wife, Veronica, I said, it's just my destiny to carry heavy stuff.
But I think that camaraderie and that collaborative nature is something that should be talked about more with young artists.
Oh, yeah.
And what I've been observing are these young artists doing that, getting together and really helping each other. Do that again.
That's my glow-in-the-dark turtle. It's important.
Yeah.
Oh, too, it's funny stuff because it's like I spent a great amount of time down here. This over here on top of here, you could show this. This is the layout of a fleet moving across the Pacific or the Atlantic. These are the carriers in the middle. Notice the tails are working. So the tails are swimming upstream.
Oh
And they're like magnets. I do have a hilarious sense of humor. That's why I'm still alive.
Oh, wait a minute. I went over to 12. That's okay. I'm going to keep on going until... Man, this is incredible. I am so fortunate to be here.
Oh, my pleasure, Gilda. My pleasure.
I love looking at this. I mean, I can't, you are so right. The documentation is essential.
Well, and too, you said that you're going to take another one after the show is up because the
Yeah.
show's going to be on October 16th.
Well, looking
Anna House.
Well, like you said, you look at work that's this
will
way,
be cast, yes.
and so we're seeing it before it's cast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a process that people don't usually have. They're not privy to it.
When we commandeered the Wayne State Foundry, a couple of graduate students, the foundry was closed at Wayne State, and I was working at the foundry at CCS, and they came over and they said, you know this BIELAT guy? And I went, yeah, why? And they said, well, we're going to take over the foundry and we need it rebuilt. And somebody told us that he knew everything about foundry. And I said, well, from what I understand, he does too. You know, and they said, well, can we get in touch with him? I said, well, what's in it for him? And he goes, so he can cast as much as he can pay for. And I said, sounds fine. He goes, well, who is he? I said, it's me. And you're right. We thought you were a lot bigger. I said, a lot of people say that when they meet me. Yeah. So I went over there, and they gave me a AAA key. We rebuilt the furnace, and we threw a big soiree called a formal bronze pour, where all the students who were in the sculpture department and myself got dressed up in tuxedos. Somebody donated caviar and champagne to this soiree, linen tablecloths, and a chamber orchestra from Wayne came, and we said, you're never going to be heard over the furnace. And it was like, they said, no, we want to be here. And so they'd play, and the furnace was roaring, and we opened the fire doors, and it's like, these people who were there had no idea what it took to pour a piece of metal.
And it blew
impressed
their
them.
minds, didn't
Well,
it?
this one woman goes, well, I wanted to buy this bear, but it was $3,000. It was an abstract of the bear. I said, did you like it? And she said, yes. And I said, is it out of bronze? I said, yes. And I said, by the way, this is only 1/3 of it now. 1/3 of it was making the piece, screwing it up. The other third of it's pouring it, and the final third is to take it all apart, cut the screws, the gates off of it, polish it up, patina it, and put it on a base. And she goes, I'm going back to buy the bear. I said, good idea, good idea.
People don't know.
People have no clue.
People don't know. And they need to be educated. And once they are, I think they go along with it. They understand. People always understand and value effort and work. And if this kind of, I don't want to say just exposure, if this helps people to understand what it means, it helps all artists, not just sculptors.
Oh, yeah.
All artists. I'm looking at a lot of your little, I call them doodads and knicky-knacks when I have them in my space.
Jet skis.
tchotchkes, because this is what makes life worthwhile when you look at things like Herbie and the big fish outside. It's, a gyroscope.
I bought that from a kid at one of these street things, and it was a metal one. I said, how much is that? He says, $1. I said, okay. I said, do you know what it is? He said, no.
No.
I said, it's a gyroscope. And he goes, what do you mean a gyroscope? I said, to keep airplanes from falling out of the sky, to keep it straight and narrow. And then I did it for him, and he didn't want to sell it to me. I just said, go to like one of the Disney shops, and then you can find one.
My father bought me one when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I loved those things when I was a kid.
Well, this is amazing, and we're not done yet.
Oh, dude, this here is a little steel fish that at CCS there was a competition for making tables, and there was this young artist Frigette who was out there, and he made this table that looked somewhat like an aquarium, and he wanted my opinion, and I said, are you sure you want my opinion? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'll give you my opinion. And he said, yeah. And I said, the only good thing on it is the fish. And he goes, I think I agree with you. And came back from the founder of the hammer, whacked the fish off, and gave it to me. And I said, thank you for that. He goes, what are you going to do with it? I said, put it in my studio. So if you ask my opinion, beware, because you'll get it.
That's incredible.
And then everything is like organized. This part of the table comes off. This is just over here. This pulls off. The table saw, when I need it, is lightweight enough. I put it over here. I bolt it to the table.
Oh, there's your saw.
You know, and then I have a cutoff saw, which is the same thing if I need it. When I usually cut wood, it's usually outside.
You know, this is a good thing to see, because putting together a studio, especially for somebody who is using a lot of tools and machinery, like a sculptor or even a printmaker who has a lot of equipment, it's very difficult once you get out of school.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So this is good. Now, this is a house. This is the basement of the house. And look, all of these materials and tools are in here. And so it is entirely doable. And you don't have to have a 5,000 square foot studio.
No. Like I told you earlier, I worked out of the back of my truck when I didn't have a studio, and it worked just fine. And then too, people kept saying, well, you should have built a wall. I said, no, I want an airflow. And so I just did a hanging walls with BIELAT, which serves my purpose, gives me an area to put it on, gives me space.
Oh yeah,
that
they
I
are
can,
hanging. And so you can move these walls if you want.
or take them down.
Yeah.
And then the airflow goes through the top, through the bottom. And somebody said, well, are you going to carpet it? I went, are you crazy? And then they said, why don't you paint the floor? I said, why should I? You know, it's like if you paint the floor once, you have to paint it again. You know, I said, in this way, you just sweep it up, throw some sweeping compound on it.
Yeah, there you can see right through to the other space. And these are things that you don't see right away when you walk into a spot, but then you get used to the atmosphere. Here's some of that.
That's the wax.
That wax.
For and I'd take the wax and melt it outside.
And look on this side, because I didn't. Yeah, see these things hanging?
Yeah, these are older pieces. These are traps. When I was a kid, and I saw a muskrat trying to chew its leg off. And so when I was a kid, I used to carry rocks in my pocket because I lived out in Fraser, which was the country at the time. You know, I was the second house in the suburb when we moved out of Hamtramck, Detroit.
These are traps.
And so what I would do after that muskrat, I'd walk around with rocks in my pockets, and I'd go to the trappers, and I would just drop a rock in it to spring all the traps. You know,
ooh, so they didn't like you up there.
Well, they didn't know who it was.
Yeah, well. And look, fish hooks.
Fishing lures. And people say, you collect those? I said, I guess I do now. I had purchased a couple just because their sculptural quality to them are like unbelievable. And so from then on, people started giving me them. And so I have a whole bunch of them now. But I didn't really intend.
Did what?
Robert Hansen, the metalworker.
Yeah.
That's one of his signs. And it's just, I said, when they took down CADE Gallery, they were having a sale. And Bob and I are friends, you know. And so it's like, I said, can I have this, Bob? He goes, what are you going to do with it? I said, put it in my studio. And he goes, sounds like somebody said this to you. I said, many a time. You did what? You know, so it's like that. So I have to have that in here.
Okay, let's stop now and do outside.
Do outside? Okay.